Schönebeck, a small town near Magdeburg. Even here, Germans can't feel safe. An Afghan man threatened one of the residents with a knife. Police arrived on the scene, but this did not calm the attacker. He threatened the officers, who decided to use their weapons. Police officers shot the suspect. The man, as a result of his wounds, died in the hospital. In the morning, I was awakened by gunshots. I didn't know what was going on. It was terrifying. It's almost an everyday occurrence for German citizens. In addition to attacks with knives or some kind of tools, it is the driving of cars into the crowds. As we can see, all the countermeasures that have been taken are not working. Such was the case in Magdeburg, a dozen kilometers away from Schönebeck. A 50-year-old Saudi man turned a Christmas market into a horror show. The result of this tragic attack was 6 deaths and nearly 300 people injured. This is an act beyond our imagination, an act of an Islamist full of hatred for what constitutes our human values, carried out against us Germans, against us Christians. Less than 2 months later, similar words were used by Germany's interior minister after the Mannheim tragedy. A 40-year-old man drove into a crowd of people. 2 people were killed. More than a dozen were injured. This is a horror in broad daylight. It is simply an unimaginably horrible act. And I am sure that the investigators will do everything in their power to investigate this crime. For Mannheim residents, this is not the first such tragedy. Last May, a knife attack took place in the city center. A 25-year-old Afghan man wounded a police officer trying to stop him. The officer paid for this intervention with his life. We are no longer safe on the streets. People are afraid to move freely, even during the day. We are terrified. You don't know who you might run into. These events are shocking. What happened to a police officer a few months ago was horrible. Now it's happening again. In mid-February, a similar incident occurred in Munich. A 24-year-old Afghan man drove his car into protest participants. 2 people were killed, a 2-year-old girl and her mother. There are more and more people who are frustrated, who have emotional problems, who are ideologically, politically, religiously indoctrinated, and wanting to externalize these values or anti-values of theirs. These people will carry out these kinds of acts. Germany wants to get rid of illegal migrants. They are sending them to other European Union countries, including Poland. To this end, special centers for illegal migrants are being set up in each of Germany's 16 states. They themselves say they are to be brought to Poland. One of them is located in Eisenhüttenstadt, just across the Polish-German border. On the one hand, we will be burdened by the Migration Pact, and on the other hand, we will be additionally burdened by the people they transfer to us under other regulations that the Polish government is currently unreflectively adopting. Law and justice politicians have repeatedly raised the issue of illegal migration at the EU Forum. After years, we are once again returning to the same place, another migration crisis. Thousands of illegal migrants entering Europe, people smugglers, human trafficking, non-governmental organizations from Germany that finance this. This must finally be opposed, and a barrier must be put in place. We as Law and Justice have said from the very beginning that we will not agree. We protested very strongly, and we believe that Donald Tusk does not guarantee that the Migration Pact will be terminated. We cannot call crime, rape, and murder cultural enrichment. That's why in the Polish city of Łomża, where one of the foreigner integration centers is to be established, the citizens' presidential candidate Karol Nawrocki has come up with a proposal for concrete action on the issue of illegal migrants. We are and we will be a fortress of security. This must happen, and we must establish an office for combating illegal migration. Such an office will be established on my initiative when I become the president of Poland. As for the Migration Pact, I say clearly, it must be unilaterally terminated. Poles could have finally settled the issue of illegal migration in October 2023 in a referendum. but its result turned out to be non-binding due to turnout. It was made possible by Tusk's team. He himself encouraged a boycott of the referendum. I solemnly before you annul this referendum. Today we are facing the same choice, the choice of whether we will let in illegal migrants who will only come here to collect welfare benefits, or whether we will pursue a real independent policy when it comes to the foreign migration policy.
Niepodległą politykę także zagraniczną, politykę migracyjną.
A policy that will guarantee safety on the streets of Polish cities.